The last week of the program was bittersweet. We spent mornings in classes, learning practical skills, how to navigate hostile spaces, how to handle documentation changes, how to find trans-friendly healthcare, and how to build support networks. Afternoons were for reflection. Dr. Ashford had us write letters to our past selves, to our future selves, to the people we'd been and the people we were becoming. Dear Cameron, I wrote, I'm sorry I couldn't figure out how to save you. I'm sorry you had to be so angry for so long. But I want you to know that you weren't a mistake. You were a chrysalis, necessary, protective, temporary. You kept me alive until I was ready to become something else. Thank you for that. And goodbye. On the final evening, Dr. Ashford hosted a dinner, formal, elegant. We dressed in our finest clothes. I wore a deep blue gown that Jordan had helped me pick out, with my hair styled in elegant waves, makeup that made me look several years older. We looked like 4 young women ready for prom, not 4 trans girls finishing a controversial experimental program. I want to toast, Dr. Ashford said, raising her glass. To Jordan, who found strength in vulnerability. To Morgan, who discovered grace in transformation. To Alex, who chose life over performance. And to Cameron, who learned that anger was just love with nowhere to go. We clinked glasses, and I felt tears threatening my careful makeup. 12 weeks ago, Dr. Ashford continued, you were 8 lost children. Tonight, you're 4 remarkable young women. Tomorrow, you return to a world that may not understand you, may not accept you, may actively harm you. But you return as yourselves. And that, my darlings, is everything. After dinner, Dr. Ashford called me to her office one last time. Sit down, Cameron. We need to discuss your future. My stomach dropped. What about it? You have choices to make. You're 17, almost 18. You'll finish high school next year, then presumably college. And you need to decide, how openly trans do you want to be? I don't understand. Some trans people choose stealth, living completely as their affirmed gender, never disclosing their history unless absolutely necessary. It's safer, simpler, but it requires maintaining a secret. She leaned forward. Others choose to be openly trans, advocates, educators, living visibly. It's more dangerous, more complicated, but it allows for authenticity in a different way. What did my mom choose? Stealth. When she transitioned, she moved to a new city, started fresh. Only her closest friends know her history. It's given her safety and peace, but it also meant living with a secret. And you? What do you recommend? Dr. Ashford smiled. I recommend you choose based on who you are, not who you think you should be. But Cameron, there's something else you need to know. She pulled out a folder, thick with documents. The media exposure from 3 weeks ago has had consequences. There are journalists investigating this program, politicians calling for regulations, activists on both sides using us as a battleground. She met my eyes. There's a very real possibility that within the next year, I'll be forced to shut down the chrysalis program entirely. No. Which means you might be part of the last cohort. The last group of kids who get this chance. She slid the folder across to me. So I need to ask, would you be willing to speak publicly about your experience? To fight for programs like this to continue? That would mean being openly trans. Forever. Yes. It would mean sacrificing stealth for advocacy. It would mean being a target, being criticized, being reduced to your transness in every conversation. But it might also mean saving lives, kids like Parker, who are trapped with no way out. I stared at the folder, at the weight of the choice it represented. Can I think about it? You have until tomorrow morning, when your mother picks you up. Whatever you choose, I'll support you. I couldn't sleep. Alex and I lay in our beds, talking like we had so many nights before, but this time knowing it was the last time. Are you scared? Alex asked. Terrified. You? Beyond words. Alex was quiet for a moment. My parents are letting me transition. Officially. New name, new documents, hormones, everything. They're not happy about it, but they're accepting it. That's amazing. They want me to be stealth, though. Move to a new school, start fresh where no one knows I'm trans. Just be Alexandra, normal girl, no complications. Alex's voice was sad. But that feels like another kind of closet, you know? Like I'd be free but also hiding. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. What about you? Are you going to speak out about the program? I thought about Parker, trapped and suffering. About Riley, Reese, Dakota, pulled away from the one place they'd felt safe. About all the future kids who might never get this chance if the program closed. Then I thought about Mom, who'd chosen stealth and built a peaceful life. About the safety of invisibility, the freedom of not being defined by your transness. I don't know either, I admitted. But I think I need to choose based on what future Cameron would regret more. And I think she'd regret staying silent more than she'd regret being visible. Even if it makes your life harder? Even then. We were quiet for a long time. Then Alex said, "Promise me something. Promise me that no matter what happens, no matter where we end up, we'll remember this. This room, these conversations, the people we became here. I promise. And promise me you'll never go back to being Cameron. No matter how hard it gets." "I can't go back," I said softly. "He doesn't exist anymore. There's only Cameron now." Mom arrived at 10 a.m. to pick me up. I'd dressed carefully, jeans, a flowing blouse, ballet flats. Casual femininity, nothing dramatic. My makeup was natural. My hair was styled simply. But when Mom saw me, she started crying. "Oh, sweetheart. Look at you." We held each other for a long time in the entrance hall, and I felt her shaking with emotion. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered. "So incredibly proud. Mom, I need to tell you something." We sat in Dr. Ashford's office, and I explained everything, the media exposure, the threat to the program, the choice I'd been offered. They want me to speak publicly. To be the face of why programs like this matter. But that means being openly trans. Forever. Mom was quiet for a long time, her face cycling through emotions I couldn't read. Finally, "What do you want to do?" "I want to fight. I want to make sure other kids get the chance I got. But I'm scared, Mom. Scared of being a target, scared of making your life harder, scared of..." "Stop." Mom took my hands. "Cameron, I chose stealth because 23 years ago, that was the only safe option. The world was different then. Trans people were treated as jokes, as perverts, as problems to be solved. So I hid." She smiled through tears. "But the world is changing. Slowly, imperfectly, but changing. And it's changing because people braver than me chose visibility over safety. Choose to fight instead of hide. So you think I should do it? I think you should do whatever feels true to who you are. But I also think," her voice broke. "I also think that if I'd had your courage 23 years ago, maybe there would be 100 programs like this instead of just one that's about to close." Dr. Ashford, Mom, and I sat together one final time. "I'll do it," I said. "I'll speak out. I'll be visible. I'll fight." Dr. Ashford smiled. "Then let's discuss next steps. We'll need to prepare you for media training, connect you with advocacy organizations, establish security protocols." "Wait," Mom interrupted. "Before any of that, there's something I need to do." She pulled out her phone, made a call. "Natalie? Can you come to Ashford Academy? Now. It's important." An hour later, my sister arrived, confused and worried. Mom gathered us all, me, Natalie, Dr. Ashford, Alex, who I'd asked to stay, Jordan, and Morgan. "I've been living stealth for 23 years, Mom said. I built a life, a career, a family, all while hiding a fundamental part of who I am. And I told myself it was necessary, that it was for the best, that my daughters didn't need to know their mother's history. She turned to Natalie and me. But watching Cameron choose courage over comfort, watching her decide to live authentically even when it's dangerous, I realized I've been a coward. And I'm done being a coward. Mom, what are you saying? Natalie asked. I'm saying that if Cameron is going to be publicly trans, then so am I. We'll fight together. Mother and daughter, both of us refusing to hide. Mom was crying now, but smiling. I'm coming out. Officially. I'll speak alongside you, Cameron. I'll tell my story. And maybe together we can make the world a little safer for kids like you. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't speak. Could only throw my arms around my mother and hold on while we both cried. Natalie joined us, wrapping around both of us, and whispered, I'm so proud of both of you. My beautiful, brave family. The article came out in a major national magazine, the Chrysalis Program, Controversial or Life-Saving? It featured interviews with students, parents, medical professionals, and critics. And prominently, it featured Mom and me, side by side, trans women from different generations, telling our stories. The response was immediate and polarizing. We received death threats. We received love letters. We were called heroes and abominations, often in the same sentence. But we also received messages from parents with trans kids, thanking us. From trans adults who'd never had access to programs like Chrysalis, grateful someone was fighting. From teenagers like Parker, telling us we'd given them hope. The Chrysalis program stayed open, barely. With increased oversight, new protocols, but fundamentally intact. And I started my senior year of high school as Cameron Westfield, openly trans, unapologetically myself. I stood in front of a mirror in my bedroom, the same room I'd slept in as Cameron, now completely transformed into Cameron's space. 1 year of hormones. I am 18 years old. Starting college in the fall. My body had changed dramatically, real breasts, curves, soft skin, feminine features. I looked nothing like the angry boy who'd left for summer prep 15 months ago. But more than that, I felt different. The anger was gone. The constant sense of wrongness was gone. The feeling of wearing someone else's skin was gone. I pulled on a simple dress, nothing fancy, just comfortable. I did my makeup in 10 minutes, so routine now I barely thought about it. Grabbed my purse, still strange sometimes, but mostly normal. Mom knocked on my door. Ready, sweetheart? The interview starts in an hour. We were doing a follow-up piece for the magazine. 1 year later, the Chrysalis project results. As we drove to the studio, Mom reached over and took my hand. Regrets? She asked. I thought about Cameron, about the angry, lost boy I'd been. About all the pain and confusion and self-destruction. Then I thought about Cameron, about the girl I'd become. Confident, authentic, alive. Not one, I said. The journalist, a kind woman named Sarah, sat across from Mom and me, camera rolling. So, Cameron, 1 year later. How are you? I'm good, I said, and realized it was completely true. Actually, I'm better than good. I'm happy. And what would you say to people who claim programs like Chrysalis are dangerous? That they push confused kids into irreversible decisions? I took a breath and thought about how to answer. I'd say that what's actually dangerous is forcing kids to live as someone they're not. What's irreversible is the damage done by years of dysphoria, depression, and self-hatred. I met the camera directly. The Chrysalis program didn't make me trans. It didn't convince me to transition. It just gave me permission to figure out who I actually was underneath all the fear and anger. And your mother, Michelle, you transitioned over 2 decades ago. How does it feel to watch your daughter go through a similar journey? Mom smiled, squeezed my hand. It feels like coming full circle. Like the universe giving me a chance to support someone the way I wish I'd been supported. And it feels like proof that being trans isn't a tragedy, it's just another way of being human. Final question, Sarah said. For any young person watching this who's questioning their gender, who's scared, who doesn't know what to do, what would you tell them? Mom and I looked at each other. Then I turned back to the camera. I'd tell them that it's okay to be scared. It's okay to question. It's okay to explore. And if you discover that the gender you were assigned doesn't fit, that's not a failure or a tragedy, it's just information. And most importantly, Mom added, I'd tell them that they're not alone. That there are people who understand, programs that can help, communities that will embrace them. And that becoming yourself, whatever that means, is always worth it. I graduated college with a degree in psychology and gender studies. Alex became a photographer, documenting trans lives and stories. Jordan went into medicine, planning to specialize in trans healthcare. Morgan became an actress, building a career playing complex, multidimensional characters, some trans, some not, all authentic. Parker finally transitioned at 19, after becoming financially independent from her parents. It was harder, lonelier, but she did it. And she became an activist, focusing on helping trans youth in unsupportive families. The Chrysalis program expanded, opening sister programs in 3 other states. Dr. Ashford retired, passing the torch to a new generation of professionals who believed in the power of exploration and self-discovery. Mom and I continued speaking together, telling our story, fighting for trans rights and visibility. And on the 5-year anniversary of my graduation from Chrysalis, I stood in front of a different mirror, in my own apartment, in a city where I was building a life. The girl looking back at me was fully realized now. No longer becoming, but being. Cameron Westfield, advocate, daughter, friend, woman. I thought about Cameron sometimes, the angry boy who'd hacked school systems and released frogs and destroyed everything in reach because he didn't know how to destroy the cage he was trapped in. And I whispered to his ghost, thank you for being brave enough to break. Thank you for being destructive enough that Mom had no choice but to find a different path. Thank you for being so spectacularly bad at being a boy that you gave Cameron permission to exist. Then I turned away from the mirror, grabbed my keys, and headed out to meet Alex for coffee. Because the thing about transformation is that it's never really finished. You don't become yourself once and then stay that way forever. You become yourself every day, in 1,000 small choices, in 1,000,000 tiny moments of authenticity. And every day, I chose Cameron. Every day, I chose the truth. Every day, I chose life.